Hello, welcome back to the road to episode 8, my ongoing series where I chart the road to the release of Star Wars episode 8, The Last Jedi on the 13th of December 2017 and the 14th and 15th around the rest of the world. Holy moly, we just had the trailer last night. I stayed up till like 4 in the morning to watch it, and before we even get going with this video where I'm going to be talking about my thoughts on the trailer, reviewing it, going through some of the shots, my theories, what could be happening in the film, all that kind of stuff, we're going to see my initial reaction from last night. And I reacted to it twice. The second time I pretty much had nothing to really add, so I'll just show you the first time that I reacted to that trailer for the first time. Here we go. Okay, here we go. I'm just going in. Here we go.
When I found you, I saw raw, untamed power. And beyond that, something truly special.
Lucasfilm.
Something inside me has always been there. But now it's awake. And I need help.
I've seen this raw strength only once before. It didn't scare me enough then. It does now. Let the past die. Kill it.
Nice.
If you have to. That's the only way to become what you were meant to be.
Ray's theme.
We are the spark that'll light the fire that'll burn the First Order down. This is not going to go the way you think. Fulfill your destiny.
Holy shit.
I need someone to show me my place in all this.
Holy fucking shit. Oh my god, that was... So, much like my earlier Last Jedi trailer reaction, a bit more subdued, a bit more reserved than my reactions to the Force Awakens trailers, and I looked back at a lot of those reactions last night in the run-up to the release of the new trailer, just looking at my live, honest reactions to those first trailers for the Force Awakens during the road to episode 7, and honestly, I almost cringed. Like, it was weird to see myself like that. I was so excited, and it wasn't pretty to look at. You know, I kind of see now that I'm outside of that bubble of episode 7 about to come out, I can see how it looked like I was overacting. Honestly, like, you'd be a fool to think I wasn't overreacting looking at those reactions, but that was 100% legit, and it's embarrassing to say, but that, I mean, I just was so excited for that, and this one is a different level of excitement. It's not something to get about, it's something to get about. Like, it's more of a deeper excitement. And I've said, you know, in previous videos in this Road to Episode 8 series, this hasn't been like the Road to Episode 7. It's a different kind of excitement. It's flavored with a different feeling. It isn't that excitement of the unknown, that excitement of getting to see Luke Skywalker for the first time in over 30 years. It's not that excitement of what we're going to see, where the story is going to take us. We know where the story is going to go next. We're going to see the progression, the evolution of Rey, and how she goes on to become a Jedi, perhaps, or her training to become something more. We know that Kylo is going to go through some heavy shit, and he's got a lot to deal with after what he did in The Force Awakens. We know that Finn is also probably going to be struggling with his identity and where he fits in the world and all that kind of stuff. So we know the characters now. So it's not that kind of complete unknown as far as The Last Jedi is concerned. But what I love, even though this trailer showed a lot, and I'll get to that in just a second too, I still feel like this could go anywhere. This film could go absolutely anywhere. Luke turns dark at the end, I could see it. Rey turns dark at the end, I could see it. Kylo becomes the good guy of the whole trilogy, I could see it. Leia dies, I could see it. Luke dies, I could see it. Like, honestly, I feel like the wheels are off. I feel like looking at what they did with The Force Awakens and killing Han Solo, looking at what they did with Rogue One, killing off the whole cast, I feel like that anything could literally happen. And in the hands of someone like Rian Johnson, who is a filmmaker and a storyteller I respect so much, I love his work, so excited he got to work on a Star Wars film. By all accounts, it seems to be an incredibly successful partnership with Rian Johnson and the guys at Lucasfilm and all that kind of stuff making this film, because they finished it months before, he finished it months before it, well, I guess they finished it, there was a whole filmmaking team of course, but under his guidance, he's the guy, you know, he's the head of the ship. And he got that film finished months before release. It's the only Star Wars film so far that hasn't had this. Well, maybe Force Awakens. Well, even the Force Awakens, they took a writer off, that kind of thing. But you know, there's been a lot of talk about these Star Wars films and how, you know, directors are getting dropped left and right and things like that. All these disagreements. There's no drama from Last Jedi. There's no like extensive reshoots. There's no like changing the director halfway through filming the movie. So anyway, I'm just saying, I'm really excited that Rian Johnson got to make this film, and I think that it looks like a perfect progression of The Force Awakens, just from everything, like the shots that we saw, the intense expressions on everyone's faces, the heavy stakes of the story that were implied, the action sequences, everything seems like a natural progression. The Force Awakens seemed bright and kind of dark, like kind of it had that kind of light and dark contrasty feel to it in terms of just the colors and the characters as well. And looking at those trailers for The Force Awakens, there was a lot of bright things to look at, and it had that kind of hopeful feeling of a new start. The Last Jedi, it's a lot darker. Again, the tone, the color palette, it's a different feeling, and I love that. I love the way it looks from the cinematography to, again, just the colors. Now let's get to the trailer. So the thing opens up with Kylo Ren standing in this hangar. He's looking out, and there's, you know, obviously there's lots of stuff that's going to happen with the First Order as it continues to obviously try to rebuild its grip on the galaxy after the destruction of Starkiller Base, which, to be honest, I still think might not have been the best idea. I mean, we'll see where it goes, but I'm wondering how that ties into everything. I would have liked that Starkiller Base to really have played a part in the whole trilogy and really made it mean something more than it did. Still love The Force Awakens, but that's something I think maybe, you know, will be interesting to think about once we've seen episode 8 and 9. Like, what's the big mission in episode 9? There's got to be something they've got to destroy, right? It can't be another Starkiller Base, because that would just be too much. That would be a really bad idea. Anyway, we see some shots of Kylo Ren picking up his lightsaber, and a shot of him wearing the mask, and it's really cool that the mask is coming back because I love that design, but it does seem like the mask is not really going to be in the film for that long. Again, I'll get to that in just a second. We hear Snoke talking about someone who is really special, and it appears as if he's talking about Kylo Ren, but when he says something special, it cuts to Rey igniting the lightsaber on the island where she met Luke at the end of The Force Awakens. We also get a shot of the new AT-AT walkers, and people have been moaning about this. Oh, it's just like Empire Strikes Back, and it's just like, well, if you look at them, it's a different design. They look a lot more bulkier. They look a lot more legit. Like, they look like a proper armored upgrade of the AT-AT. I love how they kind of walk on their knuckles almost, like ape-like. But they just look like reinforced versions of the AT-AT. Like, right, let's take that really like ridiculous war machine that they had 30 years ago with the Empire, and let's make a better version of that. That's what it feels like, and so I think it's cool. I like the idea, and I'm looking forward to seeing that kind of a battle again. And it does feel a bit reminiscent of Hoth, but it's on Salt Flats. It's a different location, and you know, these films are going to repeat themselves, you know, and it's all about the way it's done, not, you know, what we're seeing. I mean, space battles, we're always going to see space battles, but it's about the way you do it. You're always going to see ships flying through the air and shooting other ships and going through these things and everything, but it's the way you do it and how it ties into the whole story as well, and the implications of the whole story. Then we get to see Rey and Luke having some interaction, and Luke receiving the lightsaber. We get to see his hand holding it. That's a great shot. And him holding it and just kind of looking very, I mean, to me it looks like he doesn't even speak in that scene. And that could very well be the way the film opens. Well, we know that's how the film opens. It picks up right where it left off, but it doesn't look like he really has anything to say. He's shell-shocked at that moment. And I've talked to death about what I think about that scene and how I think that ties into who Rey might be. Anyway, I'll leave that one where it is for now. That's another story for another video. A good question for another time. We see Rey sitting and kind of meditating, and a crack in the earth forms, and Luke looks at it in utter shock, and he talks about how he's seen this kind of raw strength before, only once before. It didn't scare him enough then, but it sure does now. And we see a shot of presumably him with his robotic hand climbing out of some rubble of where Kylo destroyed the training Jedi back, I guess, 10-15 years before the events of the new trilogy. And so you feel the weight of Luke's remorse. I mean, it was obvious he was going to be just decimated by grief and regret and guilt, I should say. That's the word I was looking for, about what happened when he tried to train his nephew and it all went to shit. And he's seeing the same thing in Rey, and he is scared shitless of it, and he doesn't really want to go down that road. That's the feeling you get from the brief things that we see in the trailer. Just the look on Mark Hamill's face. I mean, he looks like he's really bringing it with this one. I cannot wait. I mean, it is Star Wars, Luke Skywalker, The Last Jedi. It's the Luke movie. I mean, it's all about Rey, and it's all about Kylo, and the idea of these two people who are, the light and the dark, or are they? Or are they? There's the shades of grey, but they're these two central figures where, I mean, that's what the whole story is built around, but Luke now becomes a part of that story, and his past with Kylo, his future with Rey, I feel like are going to be absolutely integral to what happens in the film. And I'm not going to go through all the shots of the trailer. I could do a shot-by-shot breakdown, but I'll leave that for other people, and I think we've all watched it enough by now anyway. I don't need to go into too much detail. Though I will say, that shot of Rey swinging the lightsaber around, and the kind of panning shot from the last trailer, and everyone's like, that's Yoda! Yoda up on the rock! Yoda's in the movies training Rey! And then we see a close-up in this trailer. Yeah, it's a rock, people! It's a fucking rock! Unless Yoda has just aged really badly and now just resembles a rock. But he's dead, come on. I mean, he would have been glowing if that was Yoda, I'm sorry. But the Yoda theory gets put to rest, just like the Lucas Kylo Ren theory when the poster came out for The Force Awakens. What else can I get into? We have Kylo with his mask, and he punches the wall. I don't know if there's a clever cut there and he's not holding the mask again, but we saw the crushed mask in the first trailer. So it seems like he's rejecting his mask. Maybe he's angry at what he's become. Maybe he's angry at what, there's loads of ways you can go with it. And I don't want to kind of dig in too deep because it's such an interesting character. I love Kylo Ren as a character, and I think he is going to be one of the most interesting aspects of the film. And you see that in the scene when he's flying his TIE silencer, which just looks awesome. I love that scene, and his little line there. There's only one way to deal with the past, kill it if you have to. It's the only way to become who you're meant to be. Something like that. Great line, delivered. I love Adam Driver's performance as Kylo Ren, so, some people were on the fence with him. I thought he was fantastic and believable as this person, really struggling with the weight of this power that they have and the path that they've been led down by Supreme Leader Snoke, but also you tell that it's someone who is trying to seem like they have it all together, but they really don't, as can be seen with his anger issues that are still present in The Last Jedi, clearly. But when he's flying that TIE silencer, he's got like the scar above his eye, and then there's a deep one down here, but it looks like some kind of texturing, like maybe it's something that's healing the scar he got from his duel with Rey. So maybe I'm thinking that part of the film is right near the beginning. And it makes it look as though he's about to blow up his mother, Leia. The way they've cut it, it's like he's flying towards the ship that she's in and he's about to murder his mother. but he kind of, there's a look on his face that's like he's not sure whether he wants to do it. This could be complete misdirection. I guarantee you that is not going to be in the film. He's not going to blow his mother up in that scene with that ship. You know, that's misdirection to me. That is kind of giving you the feeling of his uncertainty in everything that is happening to him. I feel like it would be far too ridiculous if that was actually what happened and he does blow her up and kills her. And that's a whole other thing, what's going to happen with Leia, because we've heard she was going to be a big part of Episode 9. I feel like killing her off because of Carrie Fisher's death would almost be a bit too close to the bone. I don't know, so I have no idea how they're going to do it. I won't get into that now either, but I don't think that Kylo kills Leia, at least not in that moment, in that way that we see it. And also I think that could be near the beginning of the film, and when we see him in later shots, the scar is much thinner, so perhaps it's been healed by that strip he had in his face. That's what I think. And if that is the case, he's not going to kill Leia in the first act of the movie. That just doesn't seem plausible. We've seen Leia on a ship, we've seen her now on the planet of Crate, so I think that that is definitely not going to be the case. But it's interesting to play around with those emotions like that. We see the Falcon flying through this kind of like, looks like a kind of mineral cave, which is probably on Crate. I love the design of that. We have Chewbacca and a Porg. Porg mania is running wild. Everyone's talking about Porgs. Everyone is buying Porg Porg merchandise. I'll leave that one in. Merchandising. Porg the flamethrower. The kids love this one. You know, Porgs, I don't know what it is. They're cute and everything, but I'm not getting the fascination. To me, those ice foxes are a lot more adorable and cool to look at. And we see a shot of those ice foxes running towards some sort of base on Crate. And I loved, literally like 5 minutes before I turned the camera on, someone tweeted at Rian Johnson, can you please solve the biggest debate, the real debate of the Last Jedi trailer? Are the ice foxes canine or feline? And Rian Johnson replied, they're crystalline. I'm loving him on Twitter, I have to say. And there was that whole thing with him where someone said, you know, if I want to avoid stuff for The Last Jedi, can I watch the trailer? And he's like, well, if you want to avoid stuff, you know, if you don't want to be spoiled anything, if you want to go in blind, then absolutely avoid the trailer. But it is good, so watch it. Everyone's reporting, director of The Last Jedi, Rian Johnson, says absolutely avoid the trailer. And it's just like, come on, really? What else do we have in the trailer? Poe, I loved the Poe sequence, that little line he has, like, we will be the spark that lights the fire, so passionately delivered, and with the music and with the fucking X-Wing, like, that's like such a rousing moment. And then we get to see Finn, and clearly Finn infiltrates a First Order base, he's in that hangar, bit spoilery that it gets blown up and stuff, and that looks like third act of the movie stuff to me, where he has that showdown with Captain Phasma, and I love that we get to see those two come back together again and have their face off, and hopefully Captain Phasma gets a bit more than she did in The Force Awakens. I still think that's one of those things where she was such a big part of the promotion of The Force Awakens. Everyone was looking forward to Captain Phasma, and she's in the movie for like 3 minutes and just gets like unceremoniously off-screen tossed into a trash compactor. But I'm glad that she's back, and looking forward to that fight between her and Finn. I think that's a perfect way to utilize those characters. And I'm looking forward to seeing all these characters again. Poe is such an underrated character. I love Oscar Isaac as Poe. He's in the Force Awakens for not very long either, almost like Captain Phasma in a way. He has a bit more screen time than her, but very minimal as far as screen time, but he has such an impact, such a charisma. You just want to love Poe. He just is such a cool character. To me, he's the Han Solo of this new trilogy without being Han Solo and without trying to be Han Solo. And I think that, yeah, that's kind of the role that he fits. I think he plays it perfectly, and I can't wait to see him in the new film. What else did we have? We have more stuff with Luke and Rey and her diving into this war, into this this lake or this underwater cave and into the water, and Luke is saying, like, what was that line? I think it was like the best line of the trailer, almost like, this is not going to go the way you think it is. And it's almost like saying to the audience, like, this ain't gonna go the way you think it is, you know. And I think a lot of people are expecting it to be Luke training Rey like Yoda did Luke and all that kind of stuff. A lot of people are expecting it to be this Empire Strikes Back remake. I don't think it's going to be as simple as that. I think that he starts to train Rey, and maybe this spark of hope he sees in her is something that kind of maybe motivates him to see what potential she does have. And then as soon as he sees what potential she does have, he doesn't want any of it, and he pulls back and he doesn't want to train her. And I think that's where maybe Rey goes off with Kylo. That's my theory, because we see that scene at the end. I'll jump to the end of the trailer where Rey says, I need someone to show me my way, my part in all of this. and we see a shot of Kylo holding out his hand. Now she, in that scene at the very end of the trailer, has her hair done and her outfit from the end of The Force Awakens / the beginning of The Last Jedi. We've seen the images of her later on in The Last Jedi where she has a more grey, well, I guess the same outfit is grey, but she has a different outfit on and her hair is kind of done differently, which we haven't really seen much of in terms of clips. So I think that if that scene between Rey and Kylo, as we see it in the end of the trailer, is the actual scene, and there's not just like a cutting to make you think it's something else. If that's a real scene, then it must take place in the first third of the movie, or the first half, I think. In which case, I think she might go off with Kylo. She might think, well, maybe I can go with this guy. I don't know. But then again, you think of her experience with Kylo in The Force Awakens, and that kind of, that horrible kind of mind torture scene, then she probably would be too... wouldn't be too quick to trust him. But, I mean, there's so many possibilities. She could be completely tricking him to get to Snoke under Luke's instruction. You never know. There's so many things. There's that great shot of Snoke torturing Rey. It looks like the robe he's wearing is kind of like a almost like a sparkly thing. And when we see the shot of her kind of suspended, like horizontally and just screaming, kind of in suspended animation and being tortured, it looks like Snoke is in the background. I haven't analysed everything, but that's what it looks like. And I love that shot of him where he's like, fulfill your destiny. Like his hand is covering his face. It's like they're not giving you the full Snoke reveal, but I love that we get to see him outside of the hologram and just to see like I mean, it's CGI, but it looks fantastic. Like just the details in the eyes and even like the eyebrows. I thought just really, and the whole trailer I thought was great. You know, people have been down on it. People have been very excited about it. There's been a lot of different opinions. Of course, it doesn't match that last trailer for The Force Awakens. I mean, I don't think that'll ever be topped as far as excitement goes. But for me, I thought this was really what I needed to get excited about the Last Jedi. It's been a long road to Episode 8, and it's still ain't over yet, but I feel like I've been nowhere near as excited for this film as I was The Force Awakens. I've been excited in theory, but not in practice. But with that trailer, it's like, boy, we're 2 months away now. Shit's about to get real. I'm getting really excited about it, but I'm also really apprehensive because I know this film is going to tear my heart out, show it to me, and then kick me out of the theatre and say, see you in 2 years. And I'm just going to be gutted. This film is going to end bad for at least a couple of the characters that we love in the film. You know, again, Luke could be dead. I feel like that was a real possibility after I saw The Force Awakens. But now I think that, you know, with Carrie Fisher's passing, not that I'm saying they would change plans, but it would feel really empty if we had none of those original three, you know, Han, Luke, and Leia in Episode 9. So I think Luke will survive. And once he gets to Episode 9, all bets are probably off as far as his character is concerned. But even if he does die, which is a possibility, we could still see him in Obi-Wan Force Ghost form in Episode 9. Anything else I can go into with the trailer? No, those are kind of the big beats. The kind of the Kylo maybe killing Leia a bit. The Rey and Kylo maybe joining forces. I mean, it could be that Kylo wants to turn to the good side. It could be that Rey wants to turn to the dark side. I always said when she cut him down in The Force Awakens, she's got that look of anger on her face, and we know where that leads, right? It's wholly possible that someone with this much power, look at fucking Anakin Skywalker, that she would turn to the dark side and be drawn to that side. But although she does look like she's being tortured by Snoke, so he could very much be bending her to his will. And maybe Episode 9 could be, you know, Luke and Kylo teaming up to get Rey back to the good side. Who knows? You know, there's got to be some big end game that they're planning towards with Episode 9. But I feel like this is going to end on the big cliffhanger, and I think perhaps the cliffhanger might be that Rey ends up on the wrong side of the tracks, and Luke has to dust off his lightsaber maybe, and you know, head back into action in Episode 9. That would be cool. But as I said, I don't really have any solid theories. It could go absolutely any direction, and that to me is the most exciting thing about it. I can't predict it. I really can't. Even with The Force Awakens, when it was so unknown, I had my predictions, like, okay, I think Kylo's going to be the son of Han and Leia, and that kind of thing. I think Han's going to die. And I think a lot of people could predict that kind of thing. But here, I don't know where the story is going to go. I don't know where all the elements are going to fit together. It's a really exciting time to be a Star Wars fan. I booked my ticket, and when The Force Awakens came out, and it was like, tickets on sale, I was like, what the fuck? Tickets are on sale. It's 2 months before the film came out. I'd never heard anything like that before, and they made millions, you know, before the film was even like months from release. But I ended up booking, I think, a month before the midnight screening for The Force Awakens, and my friend did, Adam, who went to see it with me on that first midnight screening because the seats were starting to get taken up. I was like, wow, like, booking a month in advance for a movie, what is this? Now I'm a bit more wiser, so I was there at 11 o'clock this morning when the tickets went on sale here in Norway, and most of the good seats were gone in 1 minute. I think they opened it up to sale an hour early if you go to the actual cinema. So there must have been like at least 20-30 people who went to the cinema this morning at like 10 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock in the morning to book their tickets. So people are ready, even over here. You know, you wouldn't think it, I suppose, but there are Star Wars fans everywhere. Like when we have the National Norway Day here and they have the big parade in the city, there's always like a big kind of Star Wars cosplay section, you know. And when we went to see Rogue One in the cinema here last December, there was loads of cosplayers and stuff. So big fan base here as well, as there is around the world. Star Wars is universal. But yeah, I got my ticket, and I'm going on the 10th, on the 13th of December at 10 AM in the morning. So I'll be seeing it a good 12 hours before all you people in the UK who are going to see midnight screenings, and people who get to see it in America on the 15th, I think, who will probably get a midnight screening on the 14th. I don't know why it comes out like this, but I'll probably be one of the first people, as far as the public is, to see it. That's exciting, but also frustrating because I don't get to talk about it with anyone. I'll probably do a spoiler-free video, but yeah, I'm excited. And I'll probably see it twice that day too, because Connie won't be able to go see it at 10 AM. But I had to be there as soon as humanly possible. This is the film to end the year. This is, you know, so exciting. Anything else about the trailer I can think of off the top of my head that I thought was particularly cool or worth talking about or mentioning? I don't know. The action scenes look pretty cool, you know. But it's that story that really intrigues me, and Luke Skywalker being my favorite character, and getting to see a movie that's pretty much, you know, titled Star Wars Luke Skywalker is really exciting. And that was what was so frustrating, but kind of I appreciated about The Force Awakens. But The Force Awakens was about Luke in a lot of ways. But he wasn't in it, you know, until the very end, and we don't get to hear him say a single fucking word. And before The Force Awakens came out, I said, if that happens, and Luke is only in it in the end, he doesn't say anything, then I'm going to hate the film. And then I saw it, and I thought, you did it, like it worked, it really did work, they pulled it off, and I loved how it was all about getting to that moment, and now we get the payoff of getting to see a movie with Luke Skywalker after, you know, 30 plus years, for me, going back at least 20 years to when I was like 7 years old, watching Return of the Jedi and thinking, am I ever going to see Luke Skywalker in a film again? While I got that with The Force Awakens, I'm really going to get it with The Last Jedi. So I couldn't be happier as a Star Wars fan, but I know it's going to devastate me. Something bad is going to happen. It ain't going to end well, and we all, yeah, it's not going to go the way we think it's going to go either. So it's heavy. It's heavy. It's not as heavy as that first trailer where it's like, you know, the Jedi, it's time for them to end. Like, that was a really heavy. The music, one last thing I can talk about. I loved the music. I loved how it tied in the theme of the Jedi steps from the end of The Force Awakens when Rey cracks the rock. And I loved it when Kylo's theme came in, when we saw the clips of him. And then when the Falcon flies through that cave, we hear Rey's theme, the more hopeful theme. And it just got me so emotional about it. And that's the cool thing. With the final Force Awakens trailer, they piped in that music from the end of Empire Strikes Back. And I was just like, oh, the music. Oh, it's getting me. You know, it's that emotional attachment to that childhood. But now, you know, the Jedi Steps theme, Rey's theme, Kylo's theme, there's no childhood nostalgia with that. But it's the impact that music had with that film, and now that we're 2 years removed from The Force Awakens, that those themes are so resonant to me of that film and of what's to come. So I love that those relatively, you know, young pieces of music have that effect, almost the same effect, almost, as that Empire theme in The Force Awakens trailer, where it's just like it brings you back to that feeling you had and ties you into the feeling that you hope you're going to have when you go and see The Last Jedi in December. Oh yeah, believe it or not, there's actually more I wanted to say, so I'm just going to throw it in there right now really quickly. People have been complaining about the trailer spoiling too much. To me, I think a lot of those moments, like the Kylo Leia thing and the Rey and Kylo scene at the end, I think they're more misdirections than anything, and they could mean many different things even if they are true. So I don't think that this is really spoiling anything, and look at their track record of keeping shit close to their chest. You know, if Kylo was really going to kill Leia in that ship, in the scene that we see in the trailer, that would be the equivalent of them showing in the Force Awakens trailer Han and Kylo on that walkway and him just igniting the lightsaber, ready to kill him. You know what I mean? Like, they're really good at keeping stuff, you know, quiet. I mean, think about the fact that we haven't seen any lightsaber duels whatsoever. All we've seen is just Rey swinging one around and running with one. There's got to be a lightsaber duel in the film, if not, if at least one. So I feel like there's a lot they're not showing. There's other characters, Benicio del Toro's character, Laura Dern's character, is it Rose as well? Like, there's lots of things we haven't seen as well. So I like how it feels like it's showing a lot, but it isn't showing that much, if that makes sense. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there because I want to add that into the video. And there we go. I'll leave it there. Leave your thoughts down below. Thank you for watching. Thank you for bearing with me on this very long bumper edition of the Road to Episode 8. And I'll see you with the next video.